This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You're watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
Now, it's probably there or thereabouts a year ago when Eddie Hearn and DAZN announced this huge deal, this billion-dollar deal that these guys had to put on shows in America and Italy and Spain and wherever else across the world. And you guys will remember around that time, I had Eddie Hearn on the channel, and among many things, we were talking about that. And everything sounded very exciting, sounded very good. But of course, I raised a concern, much like many of you guys have, that while this is great and it's great for boxing, no matter where it is, and we understood at that time that Eddie Hearn didn't have this huge stable that could cater to the UK shows and America. But of course, since America, they've now expanded into different countries. But we understood that he didn't have the stable to fulfill all the fight dates, so he needed to sign a lot of fighters, which is very exciting for me. I looked on it as a summer transfer window, right, for football. But one of our concerns was, what's the quality of the UK shows going to be like? Because for a long time, Eddie Hearn was saying how the UK is now the hub for boxing. This is now the mecca of boxing. All the top fights have to come here for the big fights, etc., and to make the money. But of course, since that deal, he's now totally reversed it, and now fighters have to go to America. Listen, DAZN have a whole crap load of money that these guys are throwing around like confetti. So again, we understood that there was going to be a transitional period where a lot of our fighters were going to have to go to America to fulfill the shows and obviously get paid very well. Because these guys just throwing money around meant that our guys are going to be in for some pretty decent paydays. Not that they won't get decent paydays anyway, but they'll be getting even better paydays for, let's be honest, at times having to take lesser risk fights and being on undercards, which is fair play. But for us as Sky Sports subscribers, and whether you're a BT Sports subscriber in that as well, obviously it's the same kind of thing with like Frank Warren, you expect a certain amount of quality for your money. And as we pay subscription, we're entitled to criticise. And that's exactly what I've done. I criticised that I was noticing the lack of quality of the cards here in the UK were just getting worse and worse. And it was a gradual dip. It wasn't just overnight, just one day he signed with DAZN and then that was it. But at the minute, it seems that it's Dillian Whyte. He's the one that's pretty much holding down British boxing here on UK soil. Yes, I know Josh has only had one fight in America. You know what? I fully understand that. But the point is that we've been noticing the slip, the dip. And I made quite a few videos on it. And I know I come across as very critical of Eddie Hearn, which wasn't the intention. But it was purely a case of me as a British boxing fan, regardless of what's going on in America or Italy or Germany, or he's going to be going to China and that soon as well, and Mexico. That is great. But ultimately, that's not really my problem. I'm not one of these kind of guys that likes to stay up till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning watching shows that I'm not too bothered about. Okay? For me, it's the UK shows. It's the Saturday night fight nights. It's the Friday night fight nights. Okay? That's what I want within my time zone. And I've been noticing that there's been a lot of next-gen shows. And of course, when I was being critical, a lot of you guys, listen, everybody's entitled to their opinion, of course, were criticising me because I was saying that I wasn't happy with the quality that we were getting. There were too many next-gen shows popping up. I have nothing against next-gen shows at all, but I do expect quality in between. And some of the next-gen shows as well, at times, I have to be brutally honest, I expected a little bit more than what we were getting. But as I said, we understood the transitional period, and many of you guys were criticising me because I was pointing out that fact. As I said, you're entitled to your opinion, as I am with mine. But Eddie Hearn has now acknowledged it, that the standard that he's putting on the UK shows are dipping quite dramatically. And in the IFL interview that he done yesterday, which I'll put in the description box for you if you haven't seen it already, is that he acknowledged this, and Matchroom and Sky are going to be investing more money for the quality of the UK shows, which is great news. I mean, this is music to my ears. So for quite some time, yes, of course, many of our fighters are going to be going abroad to get the paydays, but we have a lot of fighters who, in my opinion, could headline shows. But it seems that there are quite a few headliners that's going on that shouldn't really be headliners when you've got other ones around. when you take out the fact of Dillian White, when you take out the fact of Anthony Joshua, we do have other headliners who could potentially headline very decent shows. Callum Smith being one of them, of course, which, again, he did say that he does want to put on a big show in Liverpool, probably Anfield as well. So that's something to look forward to. But when I look at the Matchroom stable, I'm seeing the likes of Callum Johnson. He's going over to America to fight on undercards. Again, I fully get it. It's decent paydays for him and good opportunities, so fair play to him. But for me, Callum Johnson, he could headline his own show here in the UK. Yes, he's going to need a decent opponent. Of course he is. He couldn't just fight anyone. He's going to need maybe a world title shot or a final eliminator or something like that. So for me, Callum Johnson, he's wasted being an undercard fighter, in my opinion. He could headline a show. You've got the likes of Kell Brook, very, very inactive. Why is he inactive? Is it Kell Brook? Is it him because he only wants the big fights? Is it Eddie Hearn? He's not producing the fights for him. Are they wasting too much time chasing Amir Khan for a fight that isn't going to happen? So therefore, he's been stalling his career. But at the end of the day, if Eddie Hearn could get Kell Brook a decent opponent, a world title shot, for example, because he was mandatory for Jarrett Hurd at one point. Of course, Jarrett Hurd has now lost his title to J-Rock. So I don't quite know. Is Kell Brook no longer mandatory now? Has he given up that position? Either way, that's the fight that could have happened here in the UK. Now, it's all very well saying that, with Eddie Hearn saying that the money isn't really here in the UK anymore, it's now over in America. Well, that's great, but if you could put on the shows before you joined up with DAZN, surely you could still do it here in the UK. Because the budgets are totally different. Sky Sports budget is for UK, DAZN budget is for America. Of course, they share platforms and what have you, of course. They broadcast both shows or both countries or like all countries. But if you could put on the shows back then, you could still put them on now. So for me, no excuse in my opinion. But there are so many headline fights that should be headlining. I mean, Charlie Edwards as well. I think Charlie Edwards is a fantastic fighter, and I've been saying it for quite some time that Charlie Edwards is a great, great fighter. I do believe he will become a world champion. I know many people were mocking it and whatever, but listen, that's exactly what he's done. We've got Cal Yafai as well. Cal Yafai, he's going to be fighting on an undercard. He should be headlining here. There's quite a few scenarios like that. But again, I do understand he does need fillers, and these guys need more money, potentially. While they're getting very good money here in the UK, they're getting better money in America because of DAZN, as they're just throwing money around like confetti. But I do feel that the lack of quality here in the UK has been dipping, where his focus seems to be on American shows. Again, the transitional period, fully get it. But my concern, and many of you guys' concern as well, was, is he going to take his eye off the ball with the UK? And he has been. Let's be brutally honest about it. I don't like saying it, but he has been. And he's now acknowledged it, that he now will be investing more money into the UK shows, which is great. The more money that's available, the more chance that we're going to have the headline fights and the big fight nights that we've become accustomed to over the last couple of years. Long may that continue. We need a new focus on the UK. In my opinion, okay, so Eddie Hearn is the head of Matchroom Boxing, but not everything should be up to him. He's got a team around him who could focus on the UK. He's got a team that could focus on the US. All he's got to do is oversee it, like once in a while. So if these guys are not putting on the shows here in the UK, then he needs to be looking at his team who's heading the UK shows and saying, what are you doing? You know, I mean, as I said, there's so many fights out there. There's so many fighters out there who could be headlining, but they're not headlining. They're fighting in America on undercards. But anyway, with him saying that there's going to be some new investment from Sky Sports for better fight nights here in the UK, is music to my ears. It'll be music to your ears too. And I know I've been whittling about it for the last, 5 or 6 months, that the quality of UK cards are just really, really dipping. And listen, I pay my Sky Sports subscription, therefore I'm entitled to an opinion. Are Sky Sports worried about my £90 a month? Probably not, but still. Anyway, listen, that's my thoughts on it all. Of course, you drop me yours. Is this music to your ears that Eddie Hearn is now acknowledging that the lack of quality here in the UK has been dipping, and he will be having a renewed focus on UK boxing cards? Anyway, drop your thoughts below about it. Click the thumbs up, of course, and subscribe if you're new on in. Catch you all on the next video.